The moratorium on mining has been in place since 1997. Injured center Greg Monroe and a first-round pick just have been sent by the Bucks to Phoenix Suns for Eric Bledsoe. This is considered a major move, as reported by ESPN, and his nickname is Little LeBron. Currently, it is 45 degrees in Milwaukee and 42 in Waukesha. For 1510 AM, WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, I'm Brian Kelly.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, welcome back, my good little buddy.
Rudy, thank you, buddy. Always a pleasure to join you. Happy Tuesday to you, my friend.
Well, of course, you did join me last night for the Drinking Liberally in Waukesha. Thanks to all the fine people that came out drinking. I'd say good Dems, many in the house. But at least one Republican, Big Ugly Keith, was there. Always good to see Keith out and about as well. Apparently, he's a fan or a stalker.
Not clear. Couldn't it be both?
So today, my head's pounding liberally, Dom. Got a little day after going on.
Well done, Crudy. Well,
perhaps a little hair of the dog in the
when you're
hour.
at Drinking Liberally, I think that is the expectation. Certainly, thank you and congratulations. The 6th anniversary. Drinking Liberally, been around doing that in Waukesha for 6 years.
Well, Dominic, we may in fact drink a little liberally tomorrow night at the after party, ACLU, a year of resistance. Italian Community Center. That's tomorrow night, Dom. It's coming up quick. And you're not even skipping the day in between, buddy. You're going to Guns N' Roses.
G and F and R at Bradley Center tonight. Me and my mandate, Fancy Brian. You gonna come? You ready to rock and roll tonight, man?
I am always ready to rock and roll, but especially when it's Guns N' Roses. Slash is fantastic.
Oh, I know. I can't wait. It's gonna be a blast. So yeah, it's gonna be a really busy couple of days here, Crudy.
And while you gentlemen are at Guns N' Roses, I will be eating Pedro's with my wife's great-grandmother.
Oh, nice. Take the time while you can, Michael.
Beb's quite nice. I like Beb. I took her to a Packer game. Seemed like it was perhaps the experience of her lifetime.
Awesome.
Well, Dom, we got a big show, and we always do. You know, a little better yesterday with the co-host, like Earl Ingram. I want to thank Earl as well for stepping in your absence.
Yes,
big.
Thank you, Earl.
Well, perhaps not such big shoes to fill.
Big expectations, not so big shoes.
Well, Dom, let's talk about the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Wisconsin's own Paul Ryan.
Do we have to?
Yeah, we kind of do. And we'll get to tax plans perhaps later in this big show. We got a big show. We've got Tom Perez, chair of the Democratic National Committee. And if you're listening to us in Charlottesville, and that's not a lot of you, but we know you're out there, our friends in Virginia. Tom's speaking to you today, wants to help encourage the turnout. Is Election Day in Virginia. Tom Perez, some may not know, we also play in Charlottesville. Tom Perez will join us on the air 4 o'clock Central Time, 5 o'clock Eastern, you Virginians. Also, Matt Rothschild, Batman, joins us in the 3 o'clock hour locally. Matt Rothschild is the executive director of the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. And there was a sudden necessity to rally at the Capitol today to try and fight back a constitutional convention, a proposal by the Republicans, the opening of a Pandora's box that will never close sufficiently again. We'll see how the fight went. And also Chris Rockwood, a recently declared candidate for Wisconsin's 14th Assembly District. Chris is a friend. He is running for the vacated seat that Dale Coenga's vacating so he can go run for your girl, Leah Buchmer's seat.
So Leah can go run against Democrat Senator Tammy Baldwin.
Run for Tammy Baldwin's
Yes.
seat. Yeah, all kind of, chain react. So we'll have Chris Rockwood in the 3 o'clock hour. But back to the speaker, Dom. Hashtag thoughts and prayers.
Oh, no.
We've got some sound of this, don't we? Fancy Brian, I'm going to need your help on this. Speaker Paul Ryan embarrasses himself. And perhaps he's trying to cast shade on the left. But in doing so, this man embarrasses himself. No other way to describe it. Let's talk about what we mean, but let's start with some of the sound in reference to the Texas church shooting. Let's start with Paul Ryan. How did he get a gun? Was this Laura Ingraham last night? I believe it was. If you would, Fancy Brian, play cut 85.
How did this get slipped through the cracks? How is it that this person who was convicted of domestic abuse by the Air Force, how did he get through the system and get a gun? Because the laws we have right now on the books say a person like this should not have gotten a gun.
And perhaps if there was more extreme vetting, Dom, it wouldn't happen. But we'll talk about that. Trump had his own opinion there.
Of course he does.
Okay, more Speaker Ryan, cut 86. Again, the topic, the Texas church shooting. More about slipping through the cracks. And, of course, you need to enforce the laws. Cut 86.
This speaks to making sure that we actually enforce our laws that we have in the books. And then that's why we have questions with the Air Force about how is it that this person left the Air Force after he was in jail for a year, I think. How did he get slipped through the cracks, and what has to be done to make sure that we are actually enforcing these laws on the books? Because this man should not have had a gun in the first place.
Okay, fair enough. Seems like he might be deflecting from the greater point that, the gun he utilized is a military armament, perhaps an assault weapons ban. But, thoughts and prayers more appropriate here, Dom. Let's keep going down the list. Speaker Ryan, again, enforce the laws in the books. This guy probably shouldn't have had a gun. Cut 87.
How about enforcing the laws we got in the books? This man should not have gotten a gun. You know why? Because he was a domestic abuser. We have laws in the books that says if you're a domestic abuser, you're not supposed to own a gun.
Here's my question, though. Okay, fair enough. And perhaps the Air Force, as a governmental agency, dropped the ball on this. I'm sure there'll be investigations and we can find out. But to my understanding, this shooter could have gone into any gun show and purchased a weapon without any background check if you buy it from another individual. And if that were to have happened, would that have changed Speaker Ryan's response?
Well, no, because we're not really trying to solve any problems here, Don. We're trying to blame someone. And certainly not the NRA. Certainly not the easy access to militarized weapons. That's never the direction this conversation should go in. You got to blame it on something. And, I would say if Obama's not an easy target.
Blame it on Obama?
If you could, he'd blame it on Obama. There was some sound I thought we had, but one more. Speaker Ryan, again, on the Texas church shooting and the Good Samaritans, they were heroes.
You know what the number that's huge for this one? $1,182. I also want to commend the men who pursued the shooter. These men put themselves in harm's way to stop a killer. These people are heroes. They put their lives in the line for their neighbors.
Which has little or nothing to do with $1,182. That's a different soundbite. Yes, they're heroes. But Paul Ryan, you are nobody's hero. At least you should not be. Here is actually the statement that I find quite stunning from the speaker, Dom. Mallory Shelbourne at thehill.com. Speaker Paul Ryan, in an interview broadcast Monday, dismissed criticism of his tweet saying that the Texas shooting victims need our prayers, arguing, prayers work. Dom, here's what he said. It's disappointing. It's sad. And this is what you'll get from the far secular left. I think he means me, Dom. People who do not have faith. No, he means you. Do not understand faiths.
Oh, okay.
I guess I'd have to say, Ryan told Fox News' Laura Ingraham on the Ingraham angle when asked about the criticism. And is it the right thing to do? Is to pray in moments like this because, you know what? prayers work. Ryan's remarks came after he said Sunday that the mass shooting in Texas was devastating. Reports out of Texas are devastating. Ryan wrote on Twitter, "The people of Sutherland Springs need our prayers right now." The speaker took heat on social media for the comment, with various users calling for gun control in the wake of the shooting that left 26 people dead after a gunman opened fire at a church in Sutherland Springs, Texas. And again, from Ryan on Laura Ingram's show, and I know you believe that, and I believe that, Ryan told Ingram, and when you hear the secular left doing their thing, no matter what, you've got so much polarization and disunity in this country when people think like that. That thoughts and prayers perhaps are an insufficient response.
That's all we need, right? Why do we even bother passing legislation? How about that anything that regulation could impact to save lives of citizens, instead of doing that, because we know the Republicans don't like regulation, the bureaucracy and all that.
So
let's just have prayer groups.
No Foxconn incentive, no $3 billion taxpayer dollars, just thoughts and prayers.
Let's just pray for them. Yeah. We don't need to fund police and firefighters. I mean, if there's an issue, we'll just pray.
You know what I would say? The only thing that praying seemingly in this circumstance sufficiently does is somehow alleviate the guilt that Paul Ryan must be feeling.
You think? I don't know if it alleviates it very much.
Perhaps it helps him wash the blood from his hands, Dom.
Crudy, when we get back from the break, Jennifer Rubin responds. You know, Jennifer Rubin, right-turn conservative at the Washington Post. I'll read a little bit here. Imagine how Ryan would react if liberal lawmakers offered thoughts and prayers for the unborn and then voted against every abortion regulation and restriction. One can only imagine how Ryan would respond if liberals offered thoughts and prayers for those slaughtered by terrorists but refused to vote for effective measures to reduce the threat of terrorism. Jennifer Rubin makes a valid point. We'll get into that on the other side.
The headline, "We object to Republicans' hypocrisy on guns, not thoughts and prayers." Folks, we are the
But I
devil's
object
advocates.
a little bit to the thoughts and prayers. If that's all you do, Speaker Ryan, save it. Don't waste your time.
No one right now that has this fine radio product on is wasting their time. Nothing but the greatest radio show ever. My little buddy Dom's back. We're going to have some fun down here on Brady Street. Hope you stick around. More Ryan bashing, a little Trump bashing, and some extreme betting between the thoughts and prayers. 844-967-2789. You look just like Madonna in the video, Dom.
Jazz hands.
Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates, WRD 1510 AM.
Dear Lord, baby Jesus, or as our brothers to the south call you, Jesus.
Puerto Rico. Nobody loves the Bible more than I do.
We just thank you for all the races I've won and the $21.2 million. Woo! 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 Ow! Love that money.
Scott Walker thinks Wisconsin should once again hire him as governor.
You wouldn't hire me to be a neurosurgeon.
This is a person who has not worked in the private sector since 1993.
You wouldn't hire me to run condos. You wouldn't hire me to run HP.
And has made his political career.
You probably wouldn't hire me to run the United States Senate.
By using divisive tactics to the benefit of his corporate donors.
First step is we're going to deal with collective bargaining for all public employee unions. Because you divide and conquer.
Now he supports the largest publicly funded government subsidy of a foreign corporation in American history.
You know, they can go suck lemons.
And Scott Walker has yet to live up to his first campaign promise to create 250,000 jobs.
Is this a campaign promise? Something you want to be held to?
Absolutely.
Scott Walker, we the people are done sucking your lemons. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience. The only choice, Lawton and Case.
Farming is one of the most difficult and dangerous jobs in America. It's a fact of farming life that when the equipment breaks down, the farmer is the one doing the fixing. One of our challenging cases involved a Dodge County farmer who was left paralyzed while repairing a farm wagon that had a defective design. The jury found the manufacturer negligent and awarded our client damages, including pain, suffering, disability, and a significant amount in loss of society and companionship to his spouse. If your life is disrupted by injury or other legal dispute, Lawton & Cates can help you achieve a successful result. Trust the voice of experience. Call the attorneys at Lawton & Cates, 282-6200.
When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience. The only choice, Lawton & Cates.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
Pete's Fruit Market, a family-owned business serving Milwaukee for more than a generation, now has a brand new second location at the corner of North Avenue and Martin Luther King Drive in Milwaukee's Brunsville neighborhood. The new store is open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week and always features the freshest fruits and vegetables at the lowest prices. In addition to offering the best produce, Pete's Fruit Market is also a full-line grocery store featuring fresh meats and delicious deli items. Pete's Fruit Market, Milwaukee's best produce.
Hey folks, sexy liberal Stephanie Miller here. Most new Wisconsin jobs are in Dane County, it's true. Some of my listeners are relocating to Madison. Many already commute there. When asked where to turn for a trusted real estate team that understands Madison, I say the same thing. Solidarity Realty. They help you through the process and protect your consumer rights. They live their values building community, promoting sustainability and diversity. Find them today at solidarityrealty.com and tell them Stephanie Miller sent you.
The Devil's Advocates. Political commentary from the back of the class.
Hey, Ike, welcome to the Devil's Advocates. What do you got for us today?
Fantastic. Thanks for taking a call. And I got to start out with my favorite wrestler, Bobby the Brain Heenan.
If the Wankinator was a wrestler, who do you think would most personify the current governor?
I got a great name for him. Scott the Shyster Walker. I think that should be his wrestling name.
I think it's already been used. I think it's his skateboard name, sir. Allegedly.
You're listening to the radio show your mother warned you about. Tom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM, WRRD. You can join us on the phones, 844-967-2789.
Just as long as you understand, don't touch this.
Don't get me going, man. I will dance up in here.
Jennifer Rubin writes at the Right Turn, the Washington Post, we object to Republicans' hypocrisy on guns, not thoughts and prayers. Republican Second Amendment absolutionists have decided to do their best imitation of snowflakes. You know, Dom, the derogatory term referring to those who need safe spaces and the like to avoid soul-crushing offenses. They have decided to feign offense at Democrats who have had enough of the hypocrisy in the wake of mass shootings. The topic is the hollow thoughts and prayers Republicans offer up in lieu of responsible legislative action. William McGurn tries it. Imagine you are a sane Democrat who recognizes that a big reason Hillary Clinton lost to Donald Trump in November was that she alienated many members of the white working class. In the years since, you've been working on your fellow Democrats to change their message in hopes of wooing these voters back into the fold. Then a gunman opens fire at a Baptist church in Texas, and suddenly progressives are in full deplorable mode, attacking anyone who dares offer prayers. And we talked about Speaker Ryan. He said, it's disappointing, it's sad, and this is what you get from the far secular left. People who do not have faith don't understand faith. I guess I'd have to say, and it is the right thing to do, is pray in moments like this, because you know what? Prayer works. Now, his quote longer, but we read it before. I read on from Jennifer Rubin's piece. He would have us believe that those criticizing his timorous response, his utter capitulation to the National Rifle Association, and his stubborn refusal to address not just mental health, but also guns are godless atheists, like Dom.
Yes, like me.
That's cheeky of him and decidedly unchristian to question critics' faith.
Yeah.
Actually, many of his critics are deeply religious folks who are appalled that pro-gun now takes precedent over pro-life.
Ooh.
Ryan's critics are people who understand that prayers are no excuse for refusal to act in a responsible way to address the menace of gun violence, not just because mass killings, but also the day-to-day suicides and murders across the country.
Imagine how Paul Ryan would react if liberal lawmakers offered thoughts and prayers for the unborn and then voted against every abortion regulation and restriction. One can only imagine how Ryan would respond if liberals offered thoughts and prayers for those slaughtered by terrorists, but refused to vote for effective measures to reduce the threat of terrorism. Republicans pretend, do they pretend, or are they professional victims of elites' safety within the Fox News bubble, that Democrats have suddenly developed an objection to prayer? It's no such thing. Democrats are expressing their fury at the post-mass shooting ritual in which thoughts and prayers are supposed to show the pious empathy of those who refuse to take a single step without a hall pass from the NRA. Even worse is the fatalism of pro-gun lawmakers. You know, it's hard to envision a foolproof way to prevent individual outrages by evil people, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell declared. I mean, last week in New York, you had a person who figured out he could kill people by driving his automobile up on the sidewalks. It's a very, very challenging thing. And yet, Senator McConnell, you do take every reasonable action, including sending young men and women to fight terrorists abroad to diminish the terrorism threat. In fact, Republicans have devised all sorts of entirely non-responsive measures, ergo the anti-Muslim travel ban, because they feel compelled to do something about the threat of Islamic terrorism. Republicans will use any excuse in the book, not the right time, disrespectful to the dead, to avoid having to debate about concrete, reasonable measures to reduce gun violence, including suicides. Now they want to shame critics who would point out their craven hypocrisy. Of course, offer prayers for the victims of gun violence, but also pray that lawmakers discover a sense of moral obligation to break free from the grasp of the gun lobby and to show the same concern and legislative determination that they demonstrate in the war against Islamic terrorism when it comes to mass killings in Las Vegas, Texas, and elsewhere.
Well said, Jennifer Rubin. The Washington Post, the right turn. One forgets she's a conservative. Dom, the president, says there will be no extreme betting, not when it comes to guns. And Rush Limbaugh, he says terrorists come straight from the Democratic Party. We'll talk about these topics when we come back. More of the greatest radio show ever, Devil's Advocates, WRRD, 1510 AM, Wisconsin's only resistance radio.
I like to think of Jesus like with giant eagle's wings and singing lead vocals for Leonard Skinner with like an angel band. And I'm in the front row, and I'm hammered drunk.
Very powerful.
I was on Zero Res Madison's Facebook page the other day, and they have almost 2,000 testimonials from local customers. Apparently, I am not the only one stoked on how cool this company is. A green technology that actually works better and doesn't cost more. It's a no-brainer. I'm in. We are starting our own Devil's Advocates revolution to free your carpets from harsh chemicals and soaps. Call Zero Res today and ask for the Dom and Crude special 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean. Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only ordering classic corner tavern.
You are listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, WRRD, 1510 AM, Milwaukee, Waukesha. There is not a gun to my head right now.
You're listening to WIN, Workers Independent News, a diversified media enterprises production. I'm Doug Cunningham. Billionaire Democrat donor Tom Steyer is spending millions of dollars to run ads urging Trump's impeachment. And now he says Fox News has censored his impeachment ad. Steyer says he ran the impeachment ad during Fox and Friends, but the ad was then pulled off the air without warning. Steyer says he has hired Bernie Sanders' lawyer Brad Deutsch to defend the free speech right to run the impeachment ads. Here's a portion of the impeachment ad Steyer says Fox is censoring.
He's brought us to the brink of nuclear war, obstructed justice at the FBI, and in direct violation of the Constitution, he's taken money from foreign governments and threatened to shut down news organizations that report the truth. If that isn't a case for impeaching and removing a dangerous president, then what has our government become?
Steyer says Republican members of Congress once impeached a president for far less. Steyer is urging Americans to speak up for impeachment because he says Trump is a clear and present danger. And Steyer says Republicans know it, but aren't doing anything.
People in Congress and his own administration know that this president is a clear and present danger, who's mentally unstable and armed with nuclear weapons, and they do nothing.
United Teachers of Los Angeles are demanding that LAUSD school board member Ref Rodriguez resign and recuse himself from voting to approve or deny charter school petitions Tuesday, November 7th. UTLA says Rodriguez co-founded a charter school network called Partnerships to Uplift Communities, and there may be conflicts of interest involving Rodriguez and $285,000 in payments that he allegedly authorized when he was a senior executive at PUC. UTLA cited various conflicts of interest and criminal charges, including perjury and conspiracy tied to a money laundering scheme, as reasons for their demand that Rodriguez resign from the school board. UTLA says the CEO of Netflix made a $75,000 contribution to Rodriguez's legal defense fund. Ref Rodriguez faces criminal charges from alleged money laundering in his 2015 school board campaign. WIN is America's multimedia news voice for workers.
We will not lie down. We will not go away. We will not cower. We will not submit. Nothing will stop the will of working people when you trample on our rights.
We need to make more money. You know, what they're paying us, the greedy corporations, they just want to pay us what they want to pay us, and it's not right.
We are sick of an economy and a democracy that are rigged against us.
Support WIN's worker news mission at workersindependentnews.com. You've been listening to WIN, Workers Independent News. For more information, visit workersindependentnews.com.
The Devil's Advocates, because freedom.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Fancy Brian, Fancy Dominic going to Guns N' Roses tonight.
I sense a theme going on today.
Crudy's going to be a good grandson-in-law to my children's great-grandma. Happy birthday, Bev, going to Pedro's.
Oh, happy birthday,
on
Bev.
the east side of Madison. Look for me there. I'll be the guy missing Guns N' Roses. Dom, extreme betting. Donald Trump's all down for the extreme betting of immigrants, right?
Sure.
I mean, hell, you get a terrorist attack, better shut the borders. Hell, let's put forth unconstitutional Muslim bans.
Right off the bat, and I know I wasn't here yesterday, so help me, forgive me if I missed, this part of the conversation, but didn't Trump immediately respond to the Texas shooting by saying, some guy with mental problems, and it's not the guns? No,
it's not the guns. It's never the appropriate time to talk about guns, Dom.
No, never is. But notice it wasn't anything to do with terrorism. I mean, right? What big, bold steps legislatively was, or with executive action, did Donald Trump propose in light of the shooting at the church versus, of course, his proposal for extreme vetting after the guy in New York ran people over?
Well, nothing necessary. Nothing to see her. Move along. White shooter, Dom.
There's no consistency.
White shooter.
See, of course.
That's the consistent part. White shooter.
Is it that blatant, though? I mean, really?
Yeah.
Are you just being a lefty by pointing that out? Or is this something, does anybody else
Well, I might be
notice
some
that?
sort of damn secularist lefty, Dom.
Yeah.
But it seems quite obvious whenever there is a quote-unquote act of terrorism and someone has pigmented skin or perhaps Muslim faith, it's a terrorist act.
It's
and Trump is quick
period.
to declare it
immediate
in real time.
And
I would bring back waterboarding, and I'd bring back a hell of a lot worse than waterboarding.
in real time using the powers of the government to impact, maybe in his term, in his mind, a future outcome.
So apparently he thinks it's okay to respond and react and try to, legislate or govern or executive action his way into some sort of response, but only for terrorists of the pigmented Muslim sort.
Right, not the white terrorists.
No, the white bread terrorists, like this guy down in Texas.
Lone wolf, mental problems.
Absolutely. Today in South Korea, though, Dom, Trump was asked by a reporter, you've talked about wanting to put extreme vetting on people trying to come into the United States. I wonder if you would consider extreme vetting for people trying to buy a gun. Seems like an interesting question. We have Trump's response.
Yeah, before we start, let me just say a sentence here that Trump did reply, if you did what you're suggesting, there would have been no difference 3 days ago. Let's do 99.
You might not have had that very brave person who happened to have a gun or a rifle in his truck go out and shoot him and hit him and neutralize him. If he didn't have a gun, instead of having 26 dead, he would have had hundreds more dead. So that's the way I feel about it.
Seemingly calls for speculation, but perhaps, Tom. Although it's a completely disingenuous argument he makes, right?
Yes, and Greg Sargent from The Plum points it out in Washington Post. The claim that there would have been no difference if Kelly had undergone extreme vetting is another way of saying that an improved gun background check system would not have stopped the shooting. But Trump has no earthly way of knowing this one way or the other. We now know that he very well might not have gotten a gun if not for the Air Force's catastrophic error. Kelly might have procured one illegally anyway, or might not have. Yes, Kelly was confronted by an armed neighbor, but we don't know how many lives that saved and what that says about the broader background check debate.
Well, Trump's never afraid to speculate, Tom. But Rush Limbaugh takes it even a step further. I mean, Donald Trump, he's the president. No extreme vetting. Not for guns, right?
What, because it may have, extreme vetting may have swept up the good guy with the gun yesterday? That was essentially his argument?
Yeah, because the good guy with the gun might not have had his AR-15 that he used to neutralize, to take out the bad guy with the gun. Although it all gets very fuzzy, who's the good and the bad when the shooting starts, the bullets are flying. But Dom, Rush Limbaugh, an inferior right-wing radio product, Rush Limbaugh takes it even a step further. You know who the terrorists are, Dom? It's us. We, the left, the Democrats, we are the face of evil.
What?
I kid you not. This is Rush Limbaugh's assertion today. Fancy Brad, you're going to have to help me. Dominic apparently does not believe me. Play it if you would. Cut 96.
And it is more than obvious that the left is encouraging their followers to be vile, aggressive, abusive, and dangerous. There's no question about it. The left is encouraging this kind of activity. They are promoting it. And they celebrate it. I don't care whether you see it in Baltimore, whether you see it in Ferguson, Missouri, wherever you see a public riot, wherever you've seen any public riot with violence in response to Trump, all of this is applauded.
Black Lives Matter is, of course, terrorist in the eyes of Rush Limbaugh, but he goes well beyond. He doesn't, opaquely pussyfoot around this topic, Dom. He calls it like only Rush Limbaugh and perhaps a bubble-residing righty, gun-loving nut could possibly see it, Dom.
More than obvious, he says. More than obvious that the left is encouraging their followers to be vile, aggressive, abusive, and dangerous. There's no question about it. The left is encouraging this kind of activity.
Well, it gets worse than that, and we'll play it for the people now. Cut 97, if you would, Fancy Brian. Rush Limbaugh, perhaps a little, disoriented from the drugs. Play it for
The left can routinely make movies, write books, do tell-alls about how to assassinate Republican presidents. We've already had one of these lunatics try to wipe out 1/3 of the Republicans in the House at that baseball practice. And now the EPA administrator needs 24/7 protection for himself and his family. And I'm just going to tell you, terrorists do not always just come from Uzbekistan. They don't just come from Afghanistan. They don't just come from Al-Qaeda. Sometimes terrorists come straight from the Democrat Party.
Wow.
You Becky, Stan.
I guess who the hell is he talking about? What the hell is he talking about?
Rush went on to add the vile, repulsive, just raw rage and anger that is on display daily on social media is infectious. During his radio show, Limbaugh mentioned the Sunday shooting at a Texas church that killed 26 people and the attack in Manhattan that left 8 people dead after a man drove a truck into a bicycle path. He also brought up the recent reported assault on Senator Rand Paul at his home and the reported threats made by the, against Environmental Protection Agency Administrator Scott Pruitt. The Wall Street Journal says the EPA has investigated 70 credible threats against Pruitt, who has significantly increased his security detail in recent months. Limbaugh says, is it any wonder that Republicans might be a little skittish? He went on to say, now here's the interesting point, Dom. Of course, the points he tries to make are completely incongruent and not accurate.
Rand Paul, didn't he get in a fight with his neighbor over the leaves blowing over the yard line? What's he talking about?
Well, of course, he also brought up the 2014 riots in Ferguson, Missouri, where protests broke out following a fatal police shooting of an unarmed black man. The incident was a natal event for the Black Lives Matter movement, which Trump has called trouble and very divisive, and which Limbaugh has referred to as a terrorist group. Well, Dom, of course, what he is referencing really are all pretty non sequitur. Rand Paul's neighbor, who may or may not be a Democrat, is fighting over Rand Paul reportedly over lawn clippings and petty, trivial, neighborly dispute kind of stuff.
Keep your damn kids off my lawn.
Sounds like a Waukesha cop. I got kicked off the grass by Waukesha cops over the weekend, Dom. But do you understand my point? Rush Limbaugh would rather deflect and point out what? One shooter, the Scalise shooter, was a Bernie supporter? That's the only, perhaps, credible example he can point towards. And he looks towards the quote-unquote threats against Scott Pruitt. Well, no doubt there are some credible threats against Scott Pruitt. I'm not encouraging such behavior, but Scott Pruitt is, threatening all of our health through the rollback of pollution laws and, of course, the destruction of the global climate. And, of course, I'd point out, Syria adopted the Paris Protocol today. We are now the only nation in the world that has not adopted the Paris Protocol. Well, of course, we adopted it, and then Trump pulled us back. So I'm not, saying it's okay. We know that Scott Walker here in the state of Wisconsin got a lot of mileage out of death threats. Someone threatened, according to his memory and no other evidence, threatened to gut his wife, like a deer, or stem to stern, or whatever the threat was. And I have no doubt that people make threats. But I would say Rush Limbaugh goes beyond the pale when he starts saying the terrorists come from the Democratic Party, and somehow we, the left, are encouraging this sort of violence by what? By trying to roll back, by trying to put gun safety controls in place, Dom? That somehow makes us the terrorist.
Well, isn't it kind of obvious he's looking over the right wing? I mean, look what happened down in Charlottesville not so long ago. Those weren't lefties that were carrying Nazi
on all
flags.
Sides, bad people or good people on all sides, depending on your point of view,
Well,
Dom.
see, this is the whole point. I mean, he is looking at different instances and trying to make a broad brush claim about what? About Democrats in general. And I don't think, of course, Crudy, that you can do that. You make a great point. What do Dems want to do? Most progressives want to instill some sort of gun safety beyond what we have.
Obama wants
right
to
now.
take away your guns, not to arm you and send you out there as active terrorists. 844-967-2789. Wonder if anyone's got an opinion of Rush or the president or maybe Paul Ryan on this topic.
Now, Crudy, have you ever... I've been doing this show with you for many years. I've never heard you suggest to audience members that they take up violence against their political adversaries.
Perhaps against you, but not against their political adversaries.
Sorry, man, I can take it.
But, well, and I've never advocated violence against you.
Whenever you see a public riot with violence in response to Trump, all of this is applauded. Well, what's applauded, certainly, Crudy, is people's right to stand up against a corrupt, fascist government, be it here in the state of Wisconsin or Donald Trump. Certainly, I have no problem with that. I encourage people to exercise their constitutional rights while they still have them. But for Rush to reach out and try to say that this is all because of the Democrats is just an asinine thing. Do you think his followers believe it?
Yes.
Come on.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Second Amendment was the founders' answer to tyrannical governments across time and throughout history.
That sounds like Rand Paul.
Was that Rand Paul? It was Rand Paul.
But, yeah, I think he inspires a little hatred, perhaps ginning up some violence on his own right. When you call your opponent, your political opponent, I mean, I've said some nasty things about Scott Walker, but not really in a personal fashion. Oh, okay, sure. But I still haven't advocated or encouraged any sort of violent act against the man or against anybody else for that matter.
No, right, of course.
In fact, quite frankly, most of the stuff I take greatest issue with Republicans on is the fact that they don't want to provide health insurance for people, that they're okay with the NRA and the gun manufacturing industry making massive profits on carnage and death. That doesn't make me a terrorist. And Black Lives Matter protesters are not a terrorist group. Just because I don't condemn Black Lives Matter, because I think they might have valid concerns. Perhaps blacks are disparately treated. Perhaps blacks are more likely to end up dead at the hands of a cop on the street. Maybe they have legitimate grievances. And maybe there's a legitimate reason why a guy like Colin Kaepernick would kneel on the sidelines to bring attention to such issues. And let's not forget, Rush Limbaugh, once upon a time, very brief career in sports broadcasting, Monday Night Football, until he laid out a very racist statement like 3 weeks into the gig and got fired. Be it Donald Trump or Rush Limbaugh, I think they do have that one quality in common. Yeah. It's the affinity for the lack of pigmentation. And of course, anyone of any pigment, be them Muslim or black, well, they're the god-awful terrorist. And we as a Democratic Party, if we somehow embrace diversity, we, by extension, Dom, are embracing the terrorist.
Is that what it is?
Give me a differing explanation that makes any frickin' sense.
Well, certainly he's trying to tie the Democrats with this activity. Again, the quote being, terrorists do not always come just from Uzbekistan. Well, number one, Rush, always? I mean, how many terrorists have come from Uzbekistan? And how many terrorists...
Boston Marathon Massacre in this
most recent
truck driving incident in Manhattan.
And how many of the mass shootings in the last several years have been perpetrated by middle-aged white men or white men in general?
Primarily with a domestic violence history against women.
Maybe there should be some extreme vetting in that regard. Maybe there should be some conversation in that regard, not looking at your political adversaries, Rush Limbaugh, and saying, well, hell, because they don't agree with me and they support groups like Black Lives Matter standing up and making a stand for themselves, that somehow they're connected to terrorists.
Folks, you are listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Got a big show ahead. We got Chris Rockwood coming down to Brady Street in the 3 o'clock hour. We got Matt Rothschild calling in for Madison. Republicans pushing a constitutional convention right here in the state of Wisconsin. We've got DNC Chair Tom Perez. And he's not only talking to our fair audience, but he's pointing at you, Charlottesville, Virginia. We hope you're listening today. Tom Perez, Devil's Advocates. Well, there's more of this hour. Come right back with us. More of us after this short break.
Well, first of all, there is no police brutality in America. We ended that back in the 60s.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Up your butt, Joe Boo. It is pitchfork and torches time in America.
Scott Walker thinks Wisconsin should once again hire him as governor.
You wouldn't hire me to be a neurosurgeon.
This is a person who has not worked in the private sector since 1993.
You wouldn't hire me to run condos. You wouldn't hire me to run HP.
And has made his political career.
You probably wouldn't hire me to run the United States Senate.
By using divisive tactics to the benefit of his corporate donors.
First step is we're going to deal with collective bargaining for all public employee unions. Because you divide and conquer.
Now he supports the largest publicly funded government subsidy of a foreign corporation in American history.
You know, they can go suck lemons.
And Scott Walker has yet to live up to his first campaign promise to create 250,000 jobs.
Is this a campaign promise? Something you want to be held to?
Absolutely. Scott Walker, we the people are done sucking your lemons. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Businesses today thrive and survive with technology. At Five Nines, we provide businesses with the IT tools they need to stay relevant. We offer enterprise-level solutions at competitive prices. I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO of Five Nines. Let us manage your IT so you can focus on more important things, like running your business. Check us out at fivenines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
Hey, it's your lovable furry host, Brian Kelly. We have a new show, 414 Wisconsin, weekdays 9 to 11, right after the Earl Ingram Show. Join me and Stu Man the Newsman as we talk about Milwaukee news, Wisconsin politics with great guests. We are going to have a fun time. 414 Wisconsin, weekday mornings 9 to 11 on News Talk 1510 AM, WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Have you outgrown your house? Are you sick of apartment living? Not ready to buy but know you need to move? Hi folks, this is Tom Hartman for CCL Management in Middleton. You should consider moving up to one of the finer rental homes CCL Management represents. Unique houses and condos, always clean, most are pet friendly. Visit cclmanagement.com today to find your new home. CCL Management, Dane County's premier leasing and property management company.
Call CCL Management at 833-0009. That's 833-0009 or visit cclmanagement.com today.
Mark your calendars. Wednesday, November 8th, the ACLU of Wisconsin's Bill of Rights celebration, a year of resistance at the Italian Conference Center in Milwaukee. Dinner and award ceremony starts at 5. After party starts at 8. Dom.
Crudy, the keynote speaker, is the National ACLU Political Director, Faz Shakir. Tickets for the whole evening, $100 per person, or just come to party with the Devil's Advocates and music from Madison's own Whiskey Farm for just $25.
The ACLU is honoring Planned Parenthood, the NAACP Youth Commandos of 1967, the brave plaintiffs in their case against conditions at Lincoln Hills, and the lead plaintiff in the voter ID case.
The ACLU of Wisconsin's Bill of Rights celebration, Wednesday, November 8th. Go to aclu-wi.org for tickets and more information.
I only drink when I feel good. I've got what I love and I love what I've got. It just so happens I'm happy a lot.
Did you just look down at your phone? You did it again, didn't you? You know, you're flying down the road in a 3-ton hunk of steel, and a text takes your eyes off the road for an average of 5 seconds. At 55 miles per hour, that's long enough to travel the length of a football field and cause some serious damage. Turn it off. Trust me, whatever it is, you'll live.
Learn more at StopTextsStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
The Devil's Advocates. Rock and roll political commentary in a top 40 world.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM, WRRD. We're also on YouTube, streaming on Facebook, on Twitter at Devil Radio, and always on the phones, toll free, 844-967-2789.
And Dominic, we played sound. Rush Limbaugh effectively accused the left of being terrorist. Said not all terrorists come from Uzbekistan. Some come right from the Democratic Party.
Yes, right off the party.
Now, one of our own fine hosts here at WRD, 1510 AM, yesterday morning, he filled in for you yesterday afternoon, but our buddy Earl Ingram made a statement, and I'd like to get your opinion of the statement made by Earl. I appropriate his statement.
All right, what's that?
He said the real ISIS is the Republican Party of America. And I don't do the way he said it, but that was, sort of a boom, an in-your-face sort of statement. And the analogy he's drawing is that apparently it is the Republicans that are being terrorists due to their inaction. They are more responsible for death and mayhem and destruction here in America for their lack of activity other than offering thoughts and prayers and hashtags and tweets. What say you to my buddy Earl's analogy, Don?
I think it
seems kind of harsh, but
I think it's
could it ring
always, true? No. I mean, Republicans are not ISIS. Democrats are not terrorists. I think anytime that you go to that level, you're being hyperbolic and you don't serve a positive point. I would certainly take issue with the shootings, and we see that these the AR-15s and these like rifles are being used consistently. Perhaps there should be a conversation about that, but I don't even see Republicans suggesting that. Where's the bump stock?
It's not the right time. Not the right time.
Well, it's never the right time. I mean,
it could have been the right time.
There's mass shootings all the time. People die, not in mass shootings, but certainly people die every day. I mean, with the suicides and the mass shootings and gun deaths in general. When is the right time?
Never.
No. Okay, well, that's obviously unacceptable.
As long as they continue cashing checks from the NRA and the gun manufacturers, Tom, it is never the right time to talk about anything of that sort.
What is it about any politician beholden to a benefactor like that, be it the NRA or the big farm or Wall Street or whatever? That way, you got to look over your shoulder. You got to go ask permission. You got to get a hall pass before you act in the best interest of your constituency, not just your funders. I think there needs to be a reset in this country now.
Well, Dom, praying works.
Don't stop believing, crew.
That doesn't work. You cash lots and lots of checks from the rich, the billionaire types, and you still win re-election. And then you get to cash more NRA checks, Dom. It's a great cycle.
Yeah, well, just keep praying, man. Pray for your soul, because you can't take the money with you. Religious right.
We are the Devil's Advocates. We don't even have any money to take with us. Come back. More of us. Chris Rockwood, live in studio. He is an assembly candidate, Wisconsin's 14th district. He joins us on Brady Street next.
I have seen shit that'll turn you white.
Hi, this is Brad Saug, owner of Zero Res Madison Carpet Cleaning. Zero Res is the best new technology in carpet cleaning. We have a patented process using empowered water, a high-tech process in which we force the water to act like soap. It doesn't want to stay in that state. It's jacked up and it's angry and it wants to hit the dirt and then it neutralizes. When we're done, all that's left in your carpet is just light moisture. In the end, you get the cleanest, greenest, healthiest carpet cleaning available. Call us at 848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it backward or forward, it's the right way to clean.
When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience, the only choice, Lawton and Cates.
I needed an attorney because I was injured at work. I wanted to find a reputable attorney. The results that I got with Lawton and Cates were very good. I'm very happy with the way I was treated and the end result that I got.
Trust the voice of experience. Call the attorneys at Lawton and Cates, 282-6200, 282-6200.
Hey America, we need to have a little talk. We've got more food than we know what to do with in this country, yet 17 million kids in America are struggling with hunger. Makes no sense. Luckily, the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks has volunteers gathering excess food and getting it to hungry kids. They're kind of like food angels. Hey, become a food angel yourself by supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org. We can't do it without your help. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Make sure you tune in to News Talk 1510 a.m. throughout the day for breaking news and up-to-the-minute political commentary. Monday through Friday, start your day with The Earl Ingram Show, 7 to 9 a.m. From 9 to 11, take a deep dive into Milwaukee news and Wisconsin politics on 414 Wisconsin with Brian Kelly and me, Stu Mann, the newsman. From 11 to 2, it's the Tom Hartman program. Then from 2 to 5, join us for the greatest radio show ever, The Devil's Advocates with Dom and Crute. Join the resistance. News Talk 1510 a.m. Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
You are listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, WRRD, 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee.
Talking taxes, off-year elections. I'm Michael Toscano. Wheeling and dealing underway on Capitol Hill over the Republican tax plan. Texas Senator Ted Cruz, a Republican, likes some of what he's seeing.
Cutting the corporate rate to 20% is a good element. Allowing expensing of capital expenditures is a good element.
Senate Republicans can only afford to lose a couple of votes, and some White House officials are hoping to convince some Senate Democrats to look favorably on the plan. It's Election Day around the nation with 2 governorships up for grabs, one in Purple, Virginia, where Republican Ed Gillespie hopes to several cycles.
It's going to be a close contest, I suspect, but I feel like the momentum is there for us.
Gillespie running against Democratic Lieutenant Governor Ralph Northam. The governor's race in New Jersey, not quite so tight. The Democrat has a comfortable lead in the polls. Also, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio is trying to become the first Democrat in nearly 30 years there to win re-election. The Air Force says federal privacy laws won't allow any comment on a police report that the former airman who opened fire at a Texas church had escaped from a New Mexico mental health facility back in 2012. More from Clayton Neville.
Police picked Kelly up at a Greyhound bus station. Witnesses say he was a danger to himself and tried to sneak weapons into the Holloman Air Force Base. The report shows that Kelly made death threats and tried to carry them out against superiors in the military. Years later, Kelly being questioned on his mental health after opening fire on a church congregation and killing 26 here in Sutherland Springs.
A dozen shooting victims remain in hospitals this afternoon, 8 adults and 4 kids, conditions ranging from fair to critical. President Trump softening his rhetoric on his first day in South Korea, Trump signaling a willingness to negotiate with North Korea over its nuclear program, urging Pyongyang to, quote, come to the table, make a deal. Trading has just ended for the day on Wall Street, unofficial numbers showing the Dow narrowly up, the S&P and the NASDAQ narrowly down. I'm Michael Toscano.
This is a court-ordered notice. Current and former Honda and Nissan owners or lessees can receive payments and other benefits from a legal settlement related to allegedly defective Takata airbags in their vehicles. To see if your vehicle is included and to file a claim, go to AutoAirbagSettlement.com or call 1-888-735-5596. That's AutoAirbagSettlement.com or 1-888-735-5596.
Tomorrow.
Why are you interested in